What's up, everyone? Steven here from Techmaker Studio. In this episode of Techmaker Workshop, we're going to keep going with hooking up the NFT metadata to our front end in our React app that we've been working on. So yesterday, or in the last workshop, as you will potentially recall, let me open up this code here. We're going to do a lot of jumping around today. We've got a little bit of stuff just to kind of tie together, and like yesterday, it's going to be moving around a fair amount. And you will probably need to have watched the previous episodes for this to make sense. I try not to do that too often. I try to make things interesting in one video, and hopefully it will be, but just a heads up, fair warning, you may need to go back and check on some of the old stuff. So what we did is, for the moment, we hard-coded this URL. And this isn't right. What we want to do is actually pull in the URL from the smart contract. So what I want to do, first and foremost, let me just close this code. And we'll go back to the terminal, and I'm going to go up a level. And if you followed along from the beginning on this workshop series, you'll know that basically we have this truffle project, which has a bunch of smart contracts and stuff in it. And then inside of it, we have this client, and then the client is the React app. So if we go back up into our truffle project, what I want to do is, first of all, let's open this whole thing up with our editor. And let's just look at our frog.sol. And if you remember, we wrote this method that's only callable by the owner, and it's the set base URI. And once we have a base URI set, it will return back. Let's really fast. Let's go look at the, there's a method in the actual contract called token URI or something like that. Let's just go look at our ERC721 interface really fast. Let's just see if there's URI. It's not here. It's probably in our extensions. URI storage. That's something we're using. Okay, yeah. So token URI for the token ID should basically return back our base URI with the ID appended to the end. So let's go try this. The first thing I want to do is actually, let's open up our frog contract again. So it's called set base URI. So what we can do to modify this is say truffle console here. And when you log in, the default account, if you're just kind of following along, the default account should be the owner. If you run into problems with that, you may have done something screwy when you deployed this. In any case, what we want to do is say frog equals await, and this is just JavaScript. It's a JavaScript console with some extra stuff added, and we'll say frog.deployed, basically all the truffle library sort of pre-added. And so if we look at frog, we can see that it's the one that's actually deployed on our local blockchain network, and that function is set base URI. So what we want to do is say await frog.set base URI, and then pass in the URI we want. And so in this case, it's going to be http://localhost. And let me actually go over to my browser and grab that. The one thing I don't know right now, and actually I don't want that to be localhost, I want that to be that, and I don't want the extra HTTP. The one thing I don't know is whether I need this trailing slash or not, like if it needs to be that or that. I'm going to assume we need it for the moment. Okay, so looks like that went through. So let's go, and I should have actually tested it like without doing that, but we can change it later. So let's change down into the client. Let's open, I don't need to open that up. I have it open up through the other one. Let's just keep the whole project open for now. Let's go ahead and run npm start though. And let's just make sure it loads. Should be just fine. And the pictures should all pop in after the fact. Cool. Okay, so over here, let me look really, actually, what we need to do is open up our client, public, no, source, and what did we call that? Our components NFT row. So let's do this. Let's say, let URI equal await props dot contracts dot methods dot token URI, and then we'll say props dot ID dot call, and let's console dot log that URI like this, and let's open up our terminal here. And now you can see these are actually pulling from the contract. Let me make sure we're just not logging anything else. Doesn't look like we are. Okay, cool. So it looks like we did need that trailing slash. Okay, so really quick, let's jump back over to our terminal. Let's cd up a level. I'm gonna truffle console again, and then I'm just gonna change it and just make sure that it's actually doing what we think. For this kind of stuff in particular, because I know I'm going to deploy this to the real mainnet pretty soon, I like to double and triple check everything. And then, let's see, do I have any? No. frog.setBase_URI. And we can do http://0.0.0:9000/NFT what? And let's go ahead and await that. Okay, and then let's control D, cd client, npm start, and let's just go look and see that that URL did in fact update once this page reloads. Yeah, so now you can see over here we're listening to 0.0.0:9000 NFT what. So obviously that's not the right URL, so I'm going to put it back really fast. And then truffle console. I wonder if this has a memory. No. Anyway, sorry for the kind of back and forth, but it's really important to try stuff and really get a good feel for it. Like, you wouldn't want to deploy this to the Ethereum chain, run it, sell a bunch of NFTs, then find out that crap, you can't actually change the URL the way that you thought. So what we want to do is say frog await frog.setBase URI http://0.0.0:8000/NFTs. Let me make sure that's correct again. Yep, that looks right. Okay, cool. So now let's cd down into our client, npm start, and now we'll actually hook this up to pull the images from that place instead of our hard-coded URL. So what we want to do here is say response.fetch URI, and we don't need that. And I just realized something. I did mess that up. That needs to be .json at the end for our... so let's just run this. Let's save it. And now it's going to be broken if I refresh. Because there's no .json. Actually, no, it's not. Did we... What? I'm a little confused, to be honest with you. Maybe it's actually .json somehow? No? So I don't know why that's actually working right now. Peculiar. So let's actually log out this data just really fast, just to make sure that it has everything in it that we're thinking it does. And I'm gonna refresh this. Okay, so something, you know what? I don't know what happened, but my changes are not being picked up. There's something off here. Has to be. Yeah, there we go. Sometimes React, if it seems to be not picking up changes, it might not be picking up changes. Okay, so let's go ahead and refresh, and now we're going to see a bunch of not founds. So what we could probably do, if I open up this VM that we're, or this Python program that's running all this stuff, let's take a look at what we're kind of parsing here. So we're calling get NFTs ID.json. You know what we could probably do is just get rid of this .json, because that's the only real thing that's being expected anywhere. And now let's refresh over here and let's see what happens. And now we basically have it working. So really it's just a formatting on our API server that we could choose to do or not. I don't know that you necessarily need to have the .json specified there. I suppose you don't. I'm going to research that a little bit, obviously, before I deploy and just kind of see what the best practice should be. But let's go open this whole project back up. And let's look at the data really fast just to make sure we have everything that we want. Cool, so you can see our data coming back from our API endpoint properly. So the last thing I want to do is actually reset the whole thing and try to buy a frog from the beginning and see if it's working from scratch. So you'll see what I mean in a second. So we need to do a couple of things. So the first thing, do I have a Ganache running? So I'm just going to pick a random one of these accounts and grab the key. And I'm going to go back over to my Python program. And I'm going to drop a different private key in here. Let's see. Well, that's interesting. Oh, this is not relevant. This is something different. I'm going to confuse myself, so I'm just going to axe that for now. So I'm going to paste this private key in here. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else. So address is account get address. It's been a minute since I looked at all this Aleph stuff. So we're getting the messages. We're passing in the address. And basically, so passing in a new private key here is going to set us up with a totally new set of NFTs. And I actually probably just screwed it up by saving because it's going to regenerate them all live, if I have to guess. Watch them come in way slower. Yeah, so you can see we're actually getting new ones. Not as much variation as I would have thought on that. So it's interesting. I'm going to have to do some more testing whenever I actually add way more attributes and kind of see if it looks kind of right. But let's before we do anything, let's turn off our React. So what happened there? So when we reloaded that page, each one of these rows called out to load that image. It actually asked for the data, and then the way that if you will recall, the way this Python file works is so it has this get or generate NFT. So with this new address, it did not have any NFTs already generated. So it went ahead and generated all of the new ones because we asked for all of them to be loaded on the screen. And so we generated a whole new batch. So what I want to do now is get a different private key finally. Now that my React server is not running. So we won't ask for any new ones. And before we do anything, let's just go over here and refresh this and make sure it's off. Okay, it's off. Okay. The next thing I want to do is, sorry for all the bouncing around. I'm going to go up to my my main truffle project, and I'm going to say truffle deploy dash dash reset. I'm going to start from scratch. Cool. So once that finishes, we should be able to go back down into the client npm start, and we should have nothing on this screen. We shouldn't have any NFTs yet. Right. So nobody's minted anything. I'm going to mint one. And let's just see here. Confirm. It's pending. Got it back. Pending. It's going to do some weird stuff here. I don't know if that's ever going to come in or not. If I refresh, I bet it does come in. Hopefully. You know what it is? It's because I did not reset my URI. So actually, instead of doing that, let's go back to the code. Let's open up our deployer. I don't need this. I need the NFT minting project. And what I want to do is open up deploy contracts, which is down here in this migrations file. And right now we have this. This isn't right, obviously. So what we want to do here is say http 0.0.0.0 8000 / NFTs. So let's save that, and I'm going to go ahead and reset the whole deal again, which should only take a second here. I'm in the wrong directory. So we'll run it like this, and then we'll reboot the client, and that should actually get us back from scratch. Okay, so if this works, we should have nothing, and now I think that the image should come in. That was kind of weird. Failed to load. That's pretty strange. Interesting. Okay, now it's working. So let's mint one, and let's see if it works. Pending. We have an address. We have a frog. Okay, that's exactly what I was hoping would happen. Let's mint 2. It's going to charge me 0.1 ETH. Confirm. And we're waiting. And what do we get? These are mystery ones. Let's refresh and see what happened here. Huh. Our Python app actually broke somehow. I think. It's the only thing I can think of. Let's try to mint. Well, let's just mint 5 and let's see what happens. Let's see if these are all blank. Nope, but they're all the same. So we may have an issue with our Python app. Not sure what happened here. That wouldn't be good though to buy an NFT and get a blank one. So we definitely don't want that. I'm wondering if we're just not getting this back from IPFS or not, which would be very strange because it's just not loading. I'm going to give this just a second. You do occasionally get problems with IPFS. Not really much you can do about it. So a lot of times this is why people would pre-generate all the different NFT images, so that you just, have to select one and there's no chance of actually getting like this. We're creating them on the fly. So if somebody were to mint one and it turns out blank, we need a method for actually sort of fixing that, which is kind of a problem. But at any rate, so we're pretty much going to end up with the whole thing finished, like in terms of like all the main functionality that I had in mind in probably the next 2 to 3 episodes. But I think we'll probably end up with a couple of episodes doing some battle testing because the idea here is good, I think, but certain aspects may not make sense. I think one thing I need to do is obviously add in more variety here because we only have like 4 possibilities right now, and I think that this white hat blue frog is probably the most probable, and it's kind of tripping me up, and I'm wondering like if it's actually working just because of the rarity of it, because we're getting the same thing every single time, which seems really unlikely. Let's do 10 frogs and see if we get all the same frogs. This would be interesting. No, well, so far, so we got 3 green, 5 blue, and 2 blanks. So I'm curious what this blank one is. I think it might be this. Like, I don't know what it is, but IPFS is having a problem. So it's kind of the territory, though, right? Like, you're using kind of cutting edge experimental technology to some extent. I don't know why IPFS doesn't like whatever this is, but it doesn't. It's still just sitting here spinning. Now my computer's about to take off. It's warming up and the fans are kicking on. So I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I think that's it for this episode. We're almost there with the main idea. Depending on the actual testing process, we may have to change our strategy a bit here. I may pre-generate everything somehow, just to make life a little easier, and make sure that we don't have this kind of problem when people are actually making purchases. But anyway, yeah, I think that's pretty much it, and I'll talk to you in the next episode. If you're enjoying this series, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, tell all your friends, all that good stuff, and I'll talk to you later.